Hi everyone, and welcome to chapter 12 of Where Did Your Heart Go by me, Audrina. I gathered up the laundry from her room. A typical teenager, it was strewn all over the floor as I popped it into the basket. I noticed my diary lying open on her pillow, so I went over to see how far she had got, and once again the words of my teenage years sucked me back into a past I had tried so hard to forget, but somehow couldn't. Saturday the 12th of March 1988. I woke to an empty bed. James had snuck out early to make sure his parents hadn't found out that we had shared the room that night. I was just about to get up when the door opened and James appeared with a tray. "I thought I'd bring you breakfast in bed," he said as he put the tray on the bedside table. It held coffee and some hot buttered toast. "Looks lovely," I replied, drinking in his tousled brown blonde hair, blue eyes, and watched as he shrugged his way out of his dressing gown and was stood there, just in his boxer shorts. Climbed into bed beside me and I was enfolded in his arms for a good morning kiss and cuddle that seemed to last for ages. The spell was broken when we heard his mum shout upstairs that they were off out to do the shopping and would be back later. We were all alone as James just grinned at me and lay back on the pillows. "Well, what are you waiting for?" he asked as I reached across him to the tray and grabbed a piece of toast and put it in his mouth. "That's not what I meant," he mumbled between mouthfuls of toast. "You're in serious trouble now," as he grabbed me and started to tickle. I was soon pinned down beneath him, gasping for breath between my giggles as I tried to push him off. Then he leant down and kissed me long and deep, and I just felt my body arch to meet and mould with his. His hands ran through my hair and down my face and then my neck, down along my sides to the hem of my nightshirt. "Can I?" he asked as he looked into my eyes. I nodded, feeling the cool air catch my skin as he pulled it up and over my head. As he pulled back to look at my body, I quickly covered my breasts with my hands, suddenly shy and afraid that he would find me lacking. "Do you trust me?" "Yes," I breathed quietly as his hands covered mine, and then gently moved them away so they rested on his hips. I felt the soft smoothness of his skin under my fingertips, which were just above the waistband of his boxer shorts. I shut my eyes as I felt his fingers run over my breasts for the very first time. My nipples sprang into life as he gently ran his fingers around them. "You are so beautiful," he murmured, as his lips came back down to mine and my skin touched his. It was magical as all my nerve endings tingled in response. Time ticked by slowly as we kissed and talked, and then kissed some more, my fingers running over the smooth skin of his back, and his were in my hair. Eventually we drew apart and noticed it was almost noon, so we decided we'd better do something for the day. A trip to the pool was in order. Perhaps the water would cool the heat flaming through my blood. The pool was fantastic, much bigger than Ross, and the diving board was so high. I watched with huge admiration as James climbed right to the top and executed a wonderful dive. He introduced me to Ian, who was working that shift, and also Michael, who was in the office. As we were about to leave, I heard a female voice shout his name. James stiffened and turned to see his boss walking towards us. She wore a short skirt, and she looked amazing as she extended her hand to me. "Hi Felicity, this is Stephanie." "Stephanie, this is Felicity," James said. She was a little older than James, but not much. Under her piercing gaze, I felt like a mouse courting the gaze of a hungry cat. "We're a bit short-staffed on Sunday. Is there any chance you can fill in?" she asked. "I can only do the evening, as I have to take Stephanie home that day." "Great, see you tomorrow at 6 then," she responded, and then promptly turned and clicked her way back to her office. James seemed subdued as we drove back to his place. "Sorry about Felicity. I think I did mention how awful our boss was in one of my letters," he said. "It's okay," I replied, as I tried to cheer him up by running my hand up and down his leg. Dinner that evening was great. His parents asked me about school and my plans for the future, before we excused ourselves and headed to James's room to discover the taste of each other's lips and the feel of each other's skin. Then we just dived under James's duvet and once again curled up together to sleep. No nightshirt tonight, just my knickers and his boxers. Sunday the 13th of March 1988. We awoke with a start at a knock on the door, and his mum popped her head round. "Morning, James. Stephanie, would you like a coffee?" "Thanks, Mum, we'll be down in a bit," James replied. I tried to hide behind him, but it was no good. James turned to see me burning with mortification. "Don't worry about my mum, she's cool about this, and I'll speak to her and let her know that nothing's happened, if that will ease your mind." "Yes, please," I replied, just before he pulled me into his arms for a good morning kiss. After breakfast, we grabbed our roller skates and walked to the park. James showed off his immense skill on the wheels, and I just tried to keep up and stay upright as he kept whizzing away and hiding behind trees and jumping out just as I was going past. It was such good fun and took my mind off the fact that very shortly we would be driving back to my place and then not seeing each other for a while. After Sunday lunch, I packed and we were soon in the Mini and driving home. "It's been a wonderful weekend," James said as his hand captured mine. "Best birthday I've ever had," I replied, smiling over at him. "When I'm at work later, I'll check my shifts and see when I can see you again. I'll ask Mum and Dad if it's okay for you to stay at ours. I didn't want him to have to come down to Ross and stay with Chris. I wanted to share a bed with him once more, feel his skin on mine as we shared our dreams together." All the way home, I kept my hand firmly on his knee, or his on mine, not wanting to break the physical connection that the weekend had only served to make stronger. James stayed for a quick cup of coffee before he had to be back for work, so once again I found myself standing on the doorstep, staring into the red rear lights of his car and wishing he was not leaving. Once in my room, I hugged the pillow and relived the magical first that I had just shared with him. I carefully put the diary back down. My hands were shaking with remembering all those details from the happiest days of my life. I couldn't deny that having Charlotte was another, but when my husband Mark had been killed only 3 months after the birth, even that was tinged with sadness. Since then, I had decided it was better to be alone than to risk heartbreak for a third time, and as Charlotte grew up, we became almost as close as sisters. Perhaps she would realise now why I had never jumped back onto the dating bandwagon all the years that she had been growing up. I had placed what was left in my heart in a sealed box, afraid to love again, as all it seemed to bring me was heartache and pain. So don't forget, if you enjoy listening to this, please like and share the link with all your family and friends. It would be most appreciated. And if you're starting to get a bit disappointed that I'm not reading fast enough, then feel free to grab your copy of Where Did Your Heart Go? It's available now on Amazon. Many thanks for listening, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye.